everyone, welcome back to Across the Bifrost. I am today joined by the lovely Archie Cable, and we're going to do a Spider Foes Dojo. Archie, you're one of the top Spider Foes players in the world. I'm saying it for you, so you don't have to. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me, Jamie. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad Across the Bifrost is back and has been resurrected. So thanks to you and Norbert for getting it set up again.
Thanks. Yeah, we've had a few people say that, like come up to me in person as well. I ran an event yesterday and some people were like, "Oh, I'm really glad the podcast is back. Thanks." I'm like, "Oh, shit, I kind of forget that people listen to this. It's pretty cool." So it's a responsibility, and I have to make sure that they're all good, which is why I got you on, because I can't think of anyone else. I can't think of anyone else to speak about the Spider Foes that isn't you.
No pressure,
but you need to make this good. Do you want to tell us about your podcast as well?
Yeah. So I basically run a podcast of my own, so a rival podcast. Although it's not really rival.
We're friends.
Completely different.
we're both podcasts are affiliated to the London Meta. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So I run a podcast called Cable's Conquests, and we talk about we go to events and we kind of deep dive into our rosters and then talk about the games at the events and how we got on. So I've done an episode, or a few episodes actually, on Spider Foes because they're my baby. Mm-hmm. But it's me and one other guy called Curtis, who is also London Meta Man. So and I'm excited to basically, I started the podcast now because no one was asking me on other podcasts, so I thought I'd better do it myself. So thanks now. Yeah. So it's great. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, mine's one worse though, because I'm going to call you out on this. I've been invited to one podcast before. It was yours, and then you rescinded the invite. You changed your mind.
Yeah, it was during your Hellfire Club. Before your mind transfer nonsense, but your reign with Hellfire Club, and then and we decided. Well, we moved on. Sorry about that.
It's fine. I won't take it
maybe
personally.
In the future we'll get you on and we'll make it all right.
Yeah. Get me on talking about something more fun. New Mutants or something. I'll talk about that. That's more fun than Hellfire for sure. Cool. All right. So today we're going to chat about Spider Foes. First off, I'm just going to talk about the leadership. Now, there is a big elephant in the room, a big green goblin-shaped elephant in the room. There's no green goblin in your roster. Do you want to quickly just mention why?
I played quite a lot of Green Goblin before new Doc Ock came out, and to be honest, the reason I did because we didn't have another leader. But I just think Green Goblin is a bit lackluster. He can have some games where if his dice work really early, he's great because he gets all the power. But he's only rolling 5 dice, and it's range 4. But for a 4 threat, there's just like very low reliability. And then he's sort of tanky on one side. And then as soon as you flip him where he does all his fun stuff, he dies immediately because he's only got 5 health and he's 3/3/5. So I played around with him a bit with Doc Ock, and I just found I was always taking new Doc Ock because I think he's a better character and his leadership is also better. So I've stuck with Doc Ock. And I'm sad because I really like Green Goblin lore-wise, and I think he's got some cool elements to his kit. And I've toyed around bringing him back, but never. He never sees the table, basically, if he's in my 10.
Yeah, it's a shame. I actually the event I ran yesterday was like a friendly, unrated Christmas event. And we encouraged people to bring really not competitive lists and just have fun. I ran Sentinels and had the house rule of I could take as many Mark IVs as I wanted. So I ran one 21 threat because we were using the one-shot terrain rules. So it went up to 21 threat and I had 4 Sentinels. It was 5 Sentinels. It was ridiculous. Anyway, at that event, there were 3 Spider Foes players. I played against 2 Green Goblin leaderships. Which I think says a lot, right?
Yeah, well, it's that. He is fun. And I think he's perfect for like a fun event. But he's just, when you're getting into competitive events, he just doesn't quite bring that level. But he has some really fun stuff. Like his blow up terrain is really fun as it's a very Green Goblin like gotcha.
Yeah.
You walk someone next to terrain and he's like, haha, I'm going to blow it up.
Yeah. It's very Green Goblin-esque. Yeah. And the Well Laid Plans as well is an amazing card for him and old Doc Ock. Yeah, for sure. And this guy...
That's actually the other thing is that I don't have old Doc Ock in my roster.
Yeah.
And that Well Laid Plans was a really good excuse to bring both of them. But new Doc Ock is basically just an upgraded version of old Doc Ock with a threat higher. So
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's a shame that World Laid Plans doesn't work with new Doc Ock, because I think you would see Goblin sometimes. That card is good enough to maybe bring, Goblin who's not the best model. I think you would see him sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And actually, as a non-leader, he can be a bit more aggressive, and that then maybe helps his power generation and helps get his kit online.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, because his injured side is scary.
Yeah, you need to kill him.
Yeah.
On his injured side, but he's very easy to kill, so it's not hard.
Yeah, you just kind of do it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, well, enough about Green Goblin. Let's talk about the leader and the leadership that you are using. Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist. I'm just going to read the leadership out quickly so we all know what we're talking about. So this is Sinister 6. Once per turn, after an attack targeting an allied character is resolved, if that character is not dazed, it gains 1 power. So anyone familiar with Ornery on Rhino, it's the same rule, right? It doubles up with that, which I'm sure we'll get onto later. So that's the first half. And second half, additionally, once per turn, when an allied character suffers damage from an enemy attack, after that attack is resolved, it may remove one of the following special conditions from itself: shock, slow, or incinerate. So what do you think about this leadership?
So I think you play this leadership for the first part, and the second part is a bonus when it comes up. I think, having essentially ornery on all your characters is brilliant, because a lot of the spider foes have these pretty good superpowers that are maybe like 3 power normally. And so if you get attacks and you get a little bit of chip damage, you just get the ball rolling faster. I should shout out, like, it is once per turn, so you've got to be a little bit careful. I used to think when it first released that you gained 1 power. You could choose when you gain the power, but it's when the first time you get attacked, if your character is not dazed, you gain the power. So you don't have quite as much choice, but still, like, for all intents and purposes, it's like a pseudo ornery on your character. So it just turns their kit online.
Oh, I see. That's interesting. So you're saying that if the first character they attack, you don't want to gain the extra power, you want to save it for someone else. You don't get that luxury, basically.
No, you don't get that luxury.
Okay, cool. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Oh, okay. So to play around this, if there's someone you don't want to power up, you should just attack someone else first, I guess.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But it's that whole, like, giving your opponent, like, decision points to make about whether you attack someone to give them that power. Because the great thing is that, say someone rolls 4 dice into you and does no damage, you still get that power. It's not hinged on taking damage.
Yeah.
And so actually, like, it really means that your opponent kind of doesn't want to attack you if they don't want to give you that power. And especially someone like Rhino or Lizard, who are pretty tanky, are pretty scary to attack, and then have good superpowers when they're powered up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Well, I'm sure we'll find out more about those decisions, once we get into the roster.
Yeah, I should say, while we're on the subject of leadership, I actually am of the opinion that since the new box got released, the new Spider Foes box, that the leadership is not essential. I think it's a bonus, and I think part of the reason I play Doc Ock a lot is because I think he's a good character in his own right. I've actually played games where I don't take a leader because I want other characters.
Interesting.
And the strength in the roster is the Spider Foes cards, because I think they've got some really good cards now. Because he is still 4 threat, so if you're playing at maybe slightly lower threat value, you don't want to take a 4 threat that you don't think is good enough. Then actually, I think they function well enough without the leadership. The leadership is a little bonus to them and gets their kit online faster.
That's so interesting. I can't think of another team where you would say that. You would go, I'll take, no need for the leadership, thanks. I'll just take the tactics cards and the affiliated list. That's very rare.
I'm not sure. I think I might be alone in this. I don't think this is a general opinion. It's my personal opinion.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Cool. Well, let's talk about Doc Ock himself then. So just so that everyone's aware, this is Doc Ock, what people call Doc Ock 2. This is the one that came out in the second core box. So yeah, let's talk about him as a character. What do you think in general?
So I find a lot of my games with Doc Ock are double moving and throwing people, because he's got this 3 power throw, which is from range 3 and can throw either characters or terrain of size 3 or less. Yeah. So he can throw most stuff in the game, and he's just very good at moving around the board. He's got a medium base, medium move, so he's pretty fast. So that's kind of like his base level.
Yeah.
But then actually, if you go through
on the throw, so quickly on that throw, I play a lot of Storm X-Men, and some of Storm's best turns are a double move throw, and she has a very similar throw to this, which is from range 3, cost 3 power, but she can only throw size 2s. So Doc Ock, this is size 3s, and like you mentioned, the medium base, medium move. This is completely souped up. This is an awesome throw. Really, really good. Yeah, Doc Ock double moving and throwing someone is amazing.
Yeah, and also I think his power generation is better than like an average because he has a builder, but also he has scientific hubris. So when he rolls crits, he gains power as well. And then you tack on his leadership, he actually gains power pretty well. So yeah, it actually turns that throw on line quite a lot, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of his base level. But then if you look at his attack stats, like his builder is great. It's range 3, 5 dice physical, so pretty average. But the flurry of arms, which is when you get a wild in the attack, you count 2 as successes. So it means that if you roll a wild, you're essentially getting 2 successes for each wild. And that means that he can suddenly like spike people. I've had a game with him where I've used a tactics card, which I'm sure we'll get on to, called custom upgrades, where you get to add dice. And he's just basically taken like 10 damage off a She-Hulk because he's just spiked on that roll.
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of wilds, and suddenly he's rolled 3 wilds, and that's 6 successes.
Yeah.
And then whatever else he's rolled.
Yeah.
So his spike potential is really, really good.
Yeah. He seems like a character that might be playing more of a kind of sit at the back, run around, displacing people kind of character. So you're kind of throwing these attacks out, not hoping for the spike necessarily, right?
Yeah, often you're throwing the attack out to try and gain a little bit of power.
Yeah.
And that's pretty good because even if you don't do any damage, you roll a crit, you get power. So like there's lots of ways of doing it. But then if you do spike, then his spike potential is much higher than a normal 5 dice builder.
Yeah, for sure.
The other attacks in his kit, like the beam, is nice to have sometimes, but it's not very reliable because it only incinerates on a wild and it's only 4 dice. But, it's energy, it's range 4 beam. He gets the power for the crits, so he can actually gain some power doing this. And then I hardly ever use his spender, to be honest. I think his builder is better.
Yeah.
The number of times, like early on, I tried it a bit, and the number of times he just doesn't get any damage through off 7 dice, so he doesn't get the benefit.
Yeah.
It's not really worth the 4 power. He's got the throw. That's what you save the power for.
That's a good point. Yeah. 4 power for maybe giving them bleed, poison, and shock. Like it's a bit rough. 7 dice, it's a bit of hit and miss. You're maybe not guaranteeing it, but the throw is guaranteed. So I think it's clear. It's clear what. Yeah. This I didn't realize how much similarity Doc Ock has to Storm, because she's also got a beam that you don't use really, and a spender that you don't use, and an amazing throw.
Yeah, actually, nor did I. I mean, on our pod, Curtis talks about X-Men all the time, but he doesn't mention Storm too much, so we've never quite drawn the similarities.
Yeah, they're actually very similar. He kind of reads like a 4-threat Storm, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, they both have a similar job, I think, which is stand at the back, keep things locked down, and double move and score a VP sometimes.
And offer a leadership, which is, I mean, in Storm's case, it's a great leadership. In this case, in Spider-Foe's case, it's a pretty good leadership.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
The other thing I want to mention about his stat line is he's got 4 physical, 4 energy, 3 mystic. And he's got 6 stamina, so he's reasonably tanky. But the 4 in physical and energy make him quite a good pay to flip guy, because he's got a medium move, medium base, so he's pretty quick at getting between objectives. And he rolls 4 dice, and if he gets a crit, he gets the power refunded.
Of course, yeah.
So he actually suddenly becomes like a pretty good pay to flip, which I think then like feeds into Spider-Foes more generally.
That's cool. And it's nice seeing a team that are good at pay to flips that aren't X-Men.
Yeah.
Speaking as an X-Men player, it felt like, whenever people complain about pay to flips just in general being in the game, it felt like an attack on X-Men. Because it's like they're sort of considered the only team that can play them. So it's nice. Yeah, I think Spider-Foes definitely have a lot of game on there, because with the leadership, you're getting a lot of bonus power you wouldn't normally get.
Yeah, exactly. And they're generally maneuverable. Like Doc Ock is one of the, he's not slow, but his action economy isn't great compared to some of the other characters.
Yeah, sure.
So like that just kind of feeds into that like pay to flip. If he's good at it, then the rest of the characters are pretty good at it as well.
Yeah, cool. All right, so there's your leader. Anything else you want to say about Doc Ock before we move on?
No, I think I'll probably say more about him in the context of other characters.
Sure.
So let's crack on.
Okay, cool. Well, so let's go through your affiliated first. So first off, Rhino. MVP, surely, right?
Yeah, I mean, Rhino's just really good, isn't he?
Yeah, Rhino's one of the most splashed characters in the game, and yet he has a home here, which makes him even better.
Yeah, he's super tanky. He's so mobile. He's got an affiliated steal in This Is a Robbery, his tactics card. And also he actually makes pretty good use of some of the Spider Foes tactics cards more generally. He's great. He's really, really strong.
Yeah. We probably don't have to go into too much detail on Rhino. I think a lot of people know why he's amazing. You just listed all the reasons there. Is there anything in particular in Spider Foes then? Like any synergy that he particularly benefits from?
I think the leadership, if you attack Rhino and you do 1 damage to him, he gains 3 power because he gains 1 from taking the damage, he gains 1 from the leadership, and he gains 1 from ornery.
Yeah.
So attack him at your peril in Spider Foes, because if you do 1 damage to him, or his kit is then online because he's got a 2-3 power superpowers. One is he can push himself medium, and the other is he can throw a size 4 terrain piece medium. And the thing is with the Stampede, he can push himself medium. He then gets a 7 dice attack. He can then probably do another attack, and so he's then probably gained the power to do his throw. So that's his power. He gets rolling really quickly, and so you have to ignore him then. But then if you ignore him, he can do a lot if he spikes on his attacks. So it's kind of a difficult thing. So in Spider Foes, basically it's this whole he gets his kit online really quickly. Yeah, for sure. So robbery. This is a robbery. Got a nerf from it used to cost 2 power. Now it costs 4 power. And I play Hellfire. Right now, Hellfire are the leadership that gives you power. And they basically, the problem with Hellfire is that everyone's kit is online all the time. And I struggled getting robbery off. I actually sort of stopped playing Rhino in most games because I couldn't get enough power to get robbery off. Because you need 4 power to play the card and then 1 power to pick up the thing they've just dropped. But in Spider Foes is the one place where it feels actually quite easy, not easy, but way more doable to get off. Yeah, you put him up. When that card got nerfed, essentially, it essentially just changed his role. Like now, what I do often is I pick up early with Rhino. So we'll pick up an objective. If people don't attack him, then he's holding an extract for the whole game.
Yeah.
If people do attack him, he's gaining loads of power. And then if they daze him, he drops his objective, and then he flips. He wakes up and he robs them.
Yeah.
So actually, it's more that his role in the list has changed in that robbery. And actually, I think robbery is scarier the longer you hold on to it, because your opponent's having to play around it. Like you can't not when you're playing a close game. Like that's a 2VP swing, and he generates power well enough to be able to do it. And I think the difference with Hellfire and Spider Foes is I think Spider Foes do want to attack, whereas I think Hellfire do a lot more like move, throw. They have a lot more of that going on.
Yeah.
So I think Spider Foes generally gain a little bit more power from attacks. And so his role is, you're right, he does get robbery off a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right to pick up with Rhino round 1 now, because like you say, it puts your opponent in an awful position. It's like, do I deal with that or ignore him? He's basically Rhino's a ticking clock, right? Until he can get all of his stuff off. I think you're right for doing that because, like you say, they can just ignore it. The thing to stop, if you want to avoid a big Rhino turn, is to just never hit him. But then if he's holding an extract, what you can do, just let him score a VP for the rest of the game,
Yeah. Yeah. And he then jumps around, like following people. And I think that's one of the... So I think in terms of Hellfire versus Spider Foes, there's a lot of like character overlap, but actually the difference with Spider Foes is you want people to attack you because that's when you trigger the leadership.
Yeah.
So you actually want to force people to have to attack your characters that then gain more power.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Yeah. I've always said that Spider Foes feel like a healthy Hellfire. I think that they'll take maybe not the Hellfire spot, but I think Spider Foes will get a lot more respect and love if Hellfire is ever, let's say nerfed. I would say fixed, but nerfed. If Hellfire becomes, a bit more fair, I think that spider foes, rise up to the top a lot more, because this feels like this is essentially the same leadership in terms of power generation, but it interacts with your opponent, whereas Hellfire can just ignore you just ignore what they're doing, right?
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah, it's quite different in that.
Yeah. I will say, get a few games in with Rhino. I think new players will think that he dies easily because he is only 3/3/2 defenses.
Yeah.
Which is fair to say. But once you get your eye in with Rhino, there's a bit of a learning curve. But he starts having insane turns, right? Like an attack and then a stampede and an attack and a size 4 throw and a robbery. Like, it's insane. Yeah. He has X23 level turns of just I'm going to rearrange the entire board now by going crazy.
Yeah, he can have absolutely insane turns. And it's very rare that you have bad turns with him because he gets the place off of his attacks.
Yeah.
So the worst he's doing is he's moving.
Yeah.
And making 2 attacks normally.
Yeah.
So I agree, he can die quite quickly, but you just got to not go up against their mystic.
Yeah.
People
don't
try
put him in a
and
fight.
match him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think generally, actually, with spider foes, is they're quite good one-on-one because they've got good health pools and they've got decent attacks and decent defense. But as soon as, if you're going threat for threat, they can often 1v1 people quite well.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they come up against big scary models or multiple attacks at once, they can go down quite easily.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, which is quite thematic because each of them are used to fighting one Spider-Man at a time.
Yeah, well, the reason I love spider foes so much is they feel like they're dripping with theme.
Yeah, 100%.
They're basically these mad villains, criminals that all are a bit wacky, got bit wacky superpowers. But if their plans fail, they just go down.
They just crumble.
And it feels really thematic.
That, 100%.
Yeah, I've got you. Oh, no, I don't got you. I'm dead.
Yeah, and that's their tactics cards, right? Sinister Traps,
exactly.
we've talked about on the podcast already. Sinister Traps, it's the most but it can go wrong so badly for them. And it's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing for spider foes. They've nailed the design of this affiliation for sure.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, so speaking of one of the best 4 threats in the game, I'm going to skip over the next person. I'm going to go straight to the best 3 threat in the game, I think. One of the best, sorry. Lizard.
Yes. So Lizard plays a pretty similar role to Rhino. Well, he's this tanky 3 threat. He's extremely tanky, and again, he's got this 3 power throw, similar to Doc Ock's, except it's only range 2. Which is basically what you bring him for, right? You medium move, throw someone off a point.
Yeah.
His attacks are so-so. His spend is okay, but you're normally going to spend 3 power on his throw instead. But the leadership with Lizard is, again, designed to get his kit online earlier. Because if you attack him, he damage reduces, so it's not very appealing. He's got healing factor, and now he's gaining another power. So he takes 1 or 2 damage from the attack, his throw is online. In fact, normally, if you do 1 damage with the attack, he then gets that power, he gets an extra power from the leadership, and then if he's got a power in the power phase, his throw is online. So he's another character that you don't want to attack. So you can be quite aggressive with Lizard. Say you're playing something on an F map, say there's a cube, and you just gun him down to the back point, grab their cube, and it's okay, attack me. If you kill me, then I suddenly wake up with loads of power and I can basically steal whatever I dropped and run away. But actually, round 1, he's pretty difficult to kill. So he's that dive bomb character where he's just a 3 threat. So that's what he does. And he takes a lot more attacks than he should for a 3 threat. And with the leadership in spider foes, he's gaining more power.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, Lizard's just solid. I think in Hellfire, I played him every game. Because you just need a guy who can just grab a point and then your opponent has to deal with him, right? And if he doesn't, then he's just going to run away, he's going to heal, he's going to, I love disengaging, so you'll throw someone in one direction and then double move the opposite direction.
Exactly.
The king of that.
And he's got healing factor, so he used to have exceptional healing, which was just bonkers with him.
Yeah.
Now he's got this instant recovery, which I still think is pretty good because whenever you heal Lizard, your opponent is just so frustrated because he's got damage reduction, healing factor. He's got 6 health on his healthy side. So if you do like 2 damage and then he just heals it immediately, you're like, well, that was a complete waste, and now I've got to start all over again.
Yeah, exactly. The combination of thick hide, like reducing damage by 1, and healing factor is just so painful, because you basically have to get him. He's slippery, right? It's like if you don't kill him, he's just going to run away and heal. Yeah,
exactly.
Nice. Okay, cool. And then so probably the character that is the reason I brought you on, because you are the absolute master of this character, or one of. There seems to be a few Mysterio masters in the London meta, Tom Brown included. So Mysterio is here.
Yeah, so we've talked about Doc Ock, Rhino, and Lizard, and they kind of all go together in this like tanky bubble that are very good at 1v1ing and winning on points. Mysterio does something completely different, and I love him. He is, if you get him, I think he's my favorite model in the game in terms of design, because he can be so infuriating, and he can punch well above his weight as a 3 threat in terms of how difficult he can be.
Yeah.
But he can also die immediately. So to kind of talk listeners through his kit and how it all works together, he's got a range 3 4-dice Mystic Builder. And if it deals damage, he advances the target character short. So he's got a lot of really good control. He's then got a superpower, which is again 3 power. All the spider foes basically have 3 power superpowers. Which is when an enemy character ends a movement within 3 of this character, you can spend the 3 power, roll 4 dice, and the enemy character suffers 1 damage for each crit and wild in the roll. And if that dealt damage, then Mysterio can advance short. So you can immediately see the synergy with his builder. He does 1 damage to you, he moves you, he tricks and traps you, and then he moves himself. So he can have turns where he has incredible action economy. And the other thing which helps him get that online is if he rolls blanks, whenever he rolls dice, if he rolls blanks, he gains a power. So if you can get him to 3 power and get tricks and traps going, he starts rolling, and he can then start doing everything he wants to do.
Yeah, and rolling blanks is way better than scientific hubris, which is rolling crits.
Exactly.
You're way more likely to get. So Mysterio is basically nearly always gets a power whenever he rolls dice on anything.
Exactly. So that's kind of his turn. And then his kind of other side of the coin is defense is weird. So he's got 115 stat line for defense. But when you're attacking Mysterio, he uses his mystic defense unless the attacker pays 2 power. So he has this weird thing where he can be incredibly tanky with 6 health and 5 defense. But then if you have 2 power available to you, you spend the 2 power because you're likely to get it back with a builder, because he's only rolling 1 defense dice. So he suddenly becomes incredibly squishy. He also has stealth. So the way I like to play him often in Spider Foes is he is actually my central grab, my safe central grab.
Yeah.
Because, he only moves short, so you have to line it up nicely, but he can double move to the middle, pick up the objective, and then so often your opponent won't have the 2 power to start the round, so they have to attack into your mystic defense. If you're playing Doc Ock leadership, you want them to attack you because you gain power, and also if you're rolling 5 dice and you've got good odds of getting a blank, so your opponent's in this position where they don't like attacking you, because then they turn tricks and traps online. And the tricks and traps is also great defensive mechanism, because if your opponent walks towards you to make an attack to you, you can tricks and traps them and you run away and get out of range 3 or range 2 or whatever range their attack is. And range 3 because he's got stealth.
Yeah.
So he's just this incredibly annoying piece to deal with, and he's only a 3 threat.
Yeah. And his tricks and traps being range 3 is vital here as well, because it's the same as stealth. So basically, if anybody wants to attack him, he's tricks and traps in first. That's the first thing that happens. So if you put him on the midline, like you say, worst case scenario, right, is someone comes up and gets an attack into him. He's rolling 5 defense dice, and like you say, if they deal, 0, 1, 2 damage, you then have the power from tricks and traps, probably because you've got the leadership going off, and he rolls a blank. So then even if they have a second person come up, they've somehow deployed 2 people opposite your Mysterio because they saw what you were doing. Yep. The second person is at risk of being tricks and traps, and then Mysterio leaves.
Yeah. With your objective.
It's horrific. I hate it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, as someone that goes into Mysterio, this is really annoying as well, especially when you're playing it.
Yeah. Yeah. But what is beautiful about the design of this character is if his tricks and traps fails, which is, I think it's almost 50-50. If it fails, then he's stood there like a chump and he can't move and he just gets hit. And if your opponent has 2 power, then he rolls 1 defense dice and he dies.
Yeah. Which again, so very Spider-Foes.
Exactly. You're walking this tightrope with Mysterio where he is so much about positioning and making your opponent have a bad day, essentially, because they can't catch him. But if they do catch him, he dies. Yeah. And so it's just brilliantly themey.
It's very cool. Yeah. The Mysterio in the hands of a good Mysterio player is honestly poetry. It feels so good. It just feels right. It feels like Mysterio. And again, if the tricks and traps fails, it's like as if the attacking character has just seen through this illusion and gone, I'm going to punch you in the face now. Which just feels great.
And then he's just a guy, isn't he?
He's just some dude.
He's just a guy in a suit.
Yeah. As long as you can pay him 2 power, he's just some dude. It's worth noting as well, as a Professor X player, this hurts my soul, but he uses his Mystic Defense to dodge rolls. So if you throw a building at him, he's rolling 5 dice, which is so annoying.
Yeah, he's weirdly tanky against throws. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah, it's cool. So there you go, Mysterio. I think another character has a very high skill ceiling. You need to get a lot of practice in, but he really sings when his stuff goes his way.
Yeah, the other thing I should mention about Mysterio is his tactics card.
Yeah.
Because it's really good. He has a tactics card called the Grand Illusion, where essentially within range 3 of Mysterio, your crits don't counter explode.
Enemy crits,
so they're enemy crits, sorry. So they're really, and that is for all, that is for dodge, attack, and defense. So he suddenly has this, for 1 round, it lasts a round, he pays 4 power, lasts a round, and you essentially, you have this like really difficult bubble to crack. And so I like him on E-maps because he can put up this bubble and you have this turn where you can have a really big go at your opponent without worrying too much about the repercussions. And we'll get on to a splash later that I think is really good with this card, and Mysterio and him go hand in hand. I won't spoil it.
Yeah, spoilers. Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, Grand Illusion is an amazing card. It feels like the All Webbed Up for Spider-Foes, like where there's this 1 round where it goes, oh god, they've switched tactics and now they're just punching us in the face. Grand Illusion is that of just like, oh god, now we can't hit them very well and they hit us very well.
Exactly.
It's an amazing card, and I hate Grand Illusion. Actually, yesterday I KO'd Mysterio round 3 to stop Grand Illusion happening. It's like, I have to get rid of this guy. I ignored all VPs and just went for him.
You need, like, Grand Illusion needs to be done like round 2 or round 3 if you can, because otherwise Mysterio does go down. Like most games I play with Mysterio, he inevitably goes down. But he's only a 3 threat, so the longer you can postpone that, the better. And there are games where he dies, but he's the MVP because he's just taken so much from your opponent and done so much damage.
Yeah, for sure. And we have to remember he's a 3 threat. Like it's sort of his job to just do some stuff, and then he's not going to win the game single handedly. He's a team player, but he can definitely drain resources is Mysterio's job. I think drain resources and distract and annoy people. Because, remember that Tricks and Traps works on charges. So if they've got a Baron Zemo charging at you and you Tricks and Traps out of it, like you've just wasted half of their turn, basically. It's great.
They've spent 2 power for nothing. They could have just moved.
Exactly, So, cool. Well, actually, you when you first said you play Spider-Foes without a leader sometimes, I could sort of see it now because you've got Rhino, who's, best in class in 4 threat, and you've got Lizard and Mysterio, who are incredible 3 threats. You've got so much value in those threats.
Yeah. Exactly, and I think Doc Ock is a great character, but actually I think some of the other characters are better suited for specific game plans than him.
Yeah.
So you can, especially when you're at low points, low threats. That's when you can see it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, well, it's all lining up now. Okay, cool. So
exactly,
there's what I would say are the 4 kind of main guys, right? The MVPs, and now we've got your two wild cards. So some would say these are not they don't get as much love, these next two characters. So we've got Kraven the Hunter and Shocker.
I love Kraven.
Yeah,
particularly. I play him in quite a lot of affiliations where most people would laugh at me for doing it. But actually in Spider Foes, I think he has a real home. I mean, he's affiliated to start with, but he ups that punch value of your Spider Foes, because he himself is actually, when he works, it is like poetry in motion, but he takes a bit of setup. And I think he's quite similar to Zemo, so a lot of the time people take Zemo instead, which is understandable because Zemo's insane.
Yeah.
But he essentially has this range 2 attack, 5 dicer, gives out bleed, which is a nice addition automatically. And this is his Kukri Strike. And then if he's made a Kukri Strike attack, his Spear Thrust, which is his other attack, which is a range 3/4 dice, adds 3 dice to the attack. So the idea with Kraven is you do a 5 dice attack, and then you do a 7 dice attack into one character. He also has a thing with the Spear Thrust, like Gwen, that if he's moved this turn, he can move medium off his Spear Thrust. And his Kukri Strike has got a Wild Elusive, which means he can move short. So he's got this like kit, which if it works, you can do a lot. You can essentially attack, move short, attack again with a big attack, move medium.
Yeah, that's
But
amazing.
if it doesn't, and you don't get like the triggers and stuff, then it's not great. But in Spider Foes, there's a particular card which I think is really good for him, which is custom upgrades, which is where you choose an enemy character and you add dice. You add 2 dice to your attacks against the enemy character for the remainder of the game, that specific character. So he can really up his attacks, and he can be this 3 threat which hits like an absolute truck. I played a game, I took Spider Foes to Nations earlier this year, and I had a like warm-up game against a guy who was playing webs, and his ASM like swung to my back point to go 1v1 with Kraven, because he was like, it's Kraven. Kraven then custom upgrades, double tapped him to daze him, double tapped him to KO him the next round.
Wow.
Like, it was savage.
Yeah.
Because he's also, I should say, he's got an attack reroll for himself. He's got an attack and defense reroll. Yeah. And he's got a expert tracker, which is another 3-power superpower. Choose an enemy character. Allied characters roll 1 additional attack die when targeting the chosen character with attacks this round. So you can see he's this like attrition piece where he just buffs everyone's dice.
Yeah, it's great. That's global range as well. So you can pick anyone.
It's global, yeah. And you can do it to every, like if you have enough power, you can do it to every character.
Yeah.
It's not limited to once per turn.
That's awesome. So you can just cover the team in tracker markers and then the rest of your guys can beat them up. Yeah.
Exactly. But he dies very easily.
Yeah.
He's got 3/3/3, 5 health.
Yeah. Bit of a glass cannon going on.
Yeah. I actually think his stock has gone up since Survival has come out. Because I think he wants to be up in the fight because he's got this range 2 attack. And so your opponent can daze him, he can then Survival, and then he can do his thing.
Yeah, okay.
So I think he's got better.
Yeah. He seems like a character. I haven't really looked at his card, I'll be honest, before, not properly. And he seems like a character that's suffering from being a 3-threat killer in a world where Baron Zemo and X-23 exist, you know? It's like, he's actually great. He's actually got a great kit for getting the job done.
He's got a fantastic kit. Yeah. And I think he's about as tanky as Zemo, right? But the thing is Zemo's got much more reliability because he's got the charge. Whereas for Kraven, you have to set him up within range 2.
So charge can, so Zemo can basically be a long move away before deciding he wants to kill you. So he's sort of safe and then jumps in, whereas Kraven's stuck. So I guess you're right. I guess, do you find that sort of your round 1 with Kraven is just double moving next to someone that you want to beat up next turn?
Often what I'll do round 1 is I'll leave him till later, wait until someone's moved up, and then you can do like a move and then a range 3/4 dice attack and then move again and just see if you get any damage.
Of course, because he's moved first. Sorry, because if you move, if you do the spear thrust, you can then move again. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So often he he does. I think he's best on wider maps where he can go 1v1 with someone.
Yeah.
Because that's where custom upgrades becomes the best. And then when he's 1v1ing someone, he's pretty effective at killing most characters in the game.
Yeah. Custom upgrades seems like it was kind of made for Kraven.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
So for those who don't know, custom upgrades is essentially what Blind Obsession used to be, but it's Spider Foes specific. So you target an enemy character, you get 2 additional defense and attack dice against that character, but all other characters you lose 2 defense dice. So essentially, you become this like killer against one character, but then you're much easier to take down with the other one. And it can only be played by Spider Foes players. But yeah, it is. I think it's made for Craven, really.
Yeah, that's great. So he's your 1v1 guy, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is he's very good against characters like Toad because he has Corner the Beast, which is a 2-power superpower, which is enemy characters within range 3. You put another token on them. This time they lose Wallcrawler for the round, or until the end of their next activation, sorry. But also every time they advance or climb, they suffer a damage. So it means that suddenly Toad's Slippery is doing damage to him. And so often Toad is like survives on 1 and Slippery's away and then double moves. But he can't do that now. He basically, if he does that, he takes 3 damage and will probably die. So he's quite good against webs, especially.
Yeah, which is very important for Spider Foes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're actually quite a good matchup against webs because they've got a lot of kit to basically help them out.
Yeah, which is very cool, very thematic. They've got a lot of anti-Spider-Man tech, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure we'll get onto in the tactics cards. Yeah, cool. Okay. There's also a cheeky synergy here, I've just noticed, between Craven and Mysterio. If you put Call of the Beast on them, Mysterio can then advance them with his builder.
Yes. Yeah. There is that. I really like that idea. The problem is I think you often take Mysterio when it's more of a close map, and I don't generally take Craven when it's like that.
Okay.
So they kind of come on different maps.
Yeah.
I have found one thing with Spider Foes. I think they've got a lot of really cool synergies, but it's setting it up on the maps that you want is where it's tricky. So actually choosing the crises is where it can get tricky.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, we'll get to crises in a bit. But yeah, Craven. Yeah. All right. Stocks up on Craven. I think you've convinced me.
Yeah.
This guy seems great.
Good.
Yeah. He just needs some smart positioning. He needs to 1v1 people,
Exactly.
Yeah, he's not a brawler.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. And then we're on to Shocker.
Yeah. So Shocker, I'm less sure on. I think he's a little boring compared to the others, to be honest. Because basically what he does is he walks up. He's another kind of... He works well with like a Mysterio kind of E Street list because you essentially walk him into their big scary character and enemy characters within 2 of him roll 1 fewer die on their attack rolls.
Yeah.
He's kind of an experiment in the list. I think there are some really cool synergies you can do with another one of my splash characters. So again, no spoilers. But yeah, I think he's just a solid 3. He's a reasonably solid 3 threat. He's reasonably tanky because he can buff his defense dice for 2 power. And he's also got, for his spender, he's got a range 3 7 dice energy that has a wild stagger. So he's really there to deal a bit more with those big scary models and just make them less effective against my Spider Foes when we have to go brawling.
Ah, cool. Yeah, so you just kind of bring him to, like you say, tight fights, and he just stands next to the scariest guy and tries to nerf him a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes he just gets beaten up immediately. Yeah. But sometimes, in some games, he'll just like tank everything and just be a real pain.
Yeah. There were some calls when this character came out for this would be the one that's a 2 threat. What do you think about that?
I'm a bit disappointed he's not. I mean, we've talked off mic plenty of times about the difficulty of designing a 2 threat, but I kind of wish he'd been a 2 threat where because I think his kit is good for a 3 threat, but I think it could have been very easily downgraded to a 2.
Yeah.
Like you just like remove 1 pip of defense. You don't give him the vibrational shield, which is his defense buff.
Yeah.
You essentially make him the honey badger, but for like shock. So honey badger is like incinerate on a stick. Shocker is like shock on a stick.
Yeah, for sure.
So it'd be great if he could have been like that thing for a 2 threat.
Yeah, I agree. I'm fully like, I don't think AMG will ever do a 2 threat again. They might do 1, but from a game design perspective, I don't envy them ever having to try and get a 2 threat right. Because it's just they're just too easy to splash in places, and they're just too problematic. So if I were them, I wouldn't bother trying. So I suspect my tinfoil hat theory here is that probably happened here. I think Shocker may have been a 2 threat in his life cycle, and then they were like, it's too hard to get right. Honey Badger's fine because she can't score points, right?
Yeah.
But you probably don't want to do that again with someone else. So yeah, I think that might be why I struggle with 3 threat.
I agree. And I think now the game is there's so many characters in the game, there's so many affiliations, it's very difficult to like future-proof for 2 threats because they're just so deadly. I'm just disappointed because it would have been nice to have an affiliated 2 threat.
Yeah, I think it would really complete Spider Foes if they had one. That's kind of them done, right? They've got their affiliated 2, and then they've got a full affiliation list. They can basically run every threat without really, they might even want to splash half the time. So, but I can see. I mean,
you see, I've only got in this list, that's my 6th character, and I could very easily keep going with affiliated characters. If I'd wanted to.
Yeah, so I do kind of want to briefly mention that's the end of the affiliated characters here. I want to mention Electro, because I had the shit kicked out of me by you with Electro, and I'm surprised he's not in this list.
Yeah, he was in this list for a really long time. I think he synergizes really well with Mysterio because he adds to that traps game. My problem with Electro is I found for a 4 threat, a lot of games he just doesn't do enough. He's got a range 4, 5 dice energy, which is great. But if that doesn't go off, he doesn't get any power, and he doesn't really like generate power back really well. And I think people learned pretty quickly to just not attack him and not go near him. Yeah,
because he's got that electrostatic, or is there one live
exactly
wire? The one where he hits you
the
back.
Electrostatic.
Yeah, so you get shock and you take damage, which is a horrific response to attacking someone. Yeah, you're then attacking worse. Yeah.
But then also he doesn't generally like to pick up extracts.
Yeah.
So you have because he's got live wire, which allows him to ride the wires, which allows him to place off terrain, and that's an insane amount of movement that you want to save for him. But the way to incentivize people to attack him is to pick up an extract.
Yeah.
So you're essentially turning off a bit of his kit to bring online another bit of his kit. So he kind of has this, and I think Spider Foes don't win on attrition; they win on points. So you can't really afford to have one of your characters not scoring you points.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, interesting. Okay, so in terms of other characters that aren't here, then Vulture.
Vulture was in this roster for a while. I actually took him to Nations, but never played him.
Mm-hmm.
I like Vulture, but he's really glassy. He dies really easily, and I think the ideal play with him is to basically move someone away and move away again. But to actually generate 2 power, you need to be doing attacks.
Yeah.
And he only has a range 2 attack builder. Sorry.
Yeah.
And you don't really want him to be attacked because he dies.
Yeah.
He's very, very squishy. So, I just found when push came to shove, I wasn't playing him. I think he's got really cool elements to his kit, but he just doesn't. If he was a little bit tankier, I think, or if he had a little bit better power generation, I think he'd be in this list. But yeah, I just ended up not taking him, so he dropped out.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of people think the Vulture is slightly below the curve. Like you say, his kit's cool when he has power, but he doesn't have great ways of getting it. He's got scientific hubris, so maybe he's another pay-to-flip runner, but you've got Doc Ock for that, and everyone else is amazing. Lizard's amazing. Rhino's amazing at that stuff as well, so yeah. Yeah, okay. And Sandman.
Yeah, Sandman's another one that came to Nation has since dropped out. I really like the idea of Sandman. I think he took a big nerf when Exceptional Healing went away because he's got like good stat lines in terms of his defensive stats, but the problem is that when he brings in his sand constructs, he takes damage. So for most of my games, he starts as a 5 health 4 threat, which is quite low. And so when Exceptional Healing was around, that was okay because you could move him. You could be a bit more blasé with him because he wasn't going to get one shot. But now he's quite easy to flip onto his injured side. And when he flips on his injured side, the sand constructs disappear. And the sand constructs is what make his kit really good.
Yeah.
So then in order to bring them back, he needs 2 turns and he needs to take 4 damage.
Yeah, he's sort of restarting the engine
they never really
again.
come back.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I think he's got an insane amount of movement, but I mean, maybe I was betrayed by the dice and this put me off, but I had a game where I had a nice beam lined up with 3 characters against criminals, like kingpin criminals. So all I needed to do was move them off the points. I did a double beam and didn't get any movements off, didn't get any damage through.
Right, yeah.
Which I think's pretty unlucky.
Yeah.
But he does rely on his kind of 5 dice attacks, which, as we know, can be great, but can also just not do anything.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, he kind of dropped out. I do notice that I've only got 2 affiliated 4s, which is unusual for spider foes because they're the king of 4 threats in affiliation. But I just think the splashes that I've got like specific plans for them. And I think Sandman just fell by the wayside because of that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, let's move on to splashes. Are there any other spider foes you want to shout out as sort of just missing out on this list?
Not really. The others, I think, are older spider foes that, I think there's only 3 others. There's Kingpin, Carnage, and Venom.
Yeah.
Who are all fine. But yeah, they don't really excite me.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to see Carnage get better. I'd love to bring Carnage along for the ride, but I just don't think he does enough in this list to warrant a place.
Yeah, for sure. I will give a shout out to Kingpin. In today's meta, with Asgard going on, Kingpin is the ultimate Thor 2 counter.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he's amazing because he doesn't take damage from Thor's pounce. He's got a medium throw that he can throw Thor away, which is kind of like a stagger. And he's got the auto stagger on his spender. Kingpin is honestly amazing into Thor. So yeah, if you're worried about Asgard in the meta, maybe give him a slot here just for those matchups.
He's fantastic, but I think the problem with having Kingpin in the list is I think his leadership is just so good that when you take Kingpin, you probably want his leadership, and then you're not playing spider foes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and this is all about spider foes.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I think if you want to make a Kingpin list, you probably make it a bit differently to this. Not too differently though. Lizard still has a place. Mysterio probably still has a place. But
Rhino.
There's a lot of crossover. Spider foes are all bloody criminals, so there's a lot of crossover. So yeah, cool. Okay, so right, let's get on to your splashes then. So you got 4 splashes. You have Loki, Prince of Lies. You have Amazing Spider-Man, which is completely anti-theme. Archie, I expect better of you. And you have Silver Sable and Bullseye.
Yeah.
Who do you want to talk about first?
Well, I'd like to defend my anti-theme Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I see Spider-Man as actually quite thematic because he's basically just been... This is when he's been tricked by the spider foes to come and do something
I see.
for them.
Yeah.
There's like an episode of the 90s Spider-Man show where Doc Ock basically has this chemical that basically mind controls Spider-Man and Spider-Man goes and robs something. And so this is what I'm thinking. This is what he's doing there.
I see, yeah. That makes sense. Okay. I thought it was like a No Way Home situation where he needs to help them out. He's like, these guys they're all sick. They need my help.
That works too.
Yeah.
I like to lean into the villainy of the spider foes rather
makes
than
sense.
have sympathy for them.
That is fair. That's fair. Okay, cool. So yeah, what kind of role does he have on a team?
So I think Spider Foes has this the way I play Spider Foes has this split. There's the rhinos, lizards of the world who are very good at these wide maps and scoring points and just annoying your opponent. And I think ASM falls into this category really nicely because he's another really good pay to flipper because he's got the same thing as Doc Ock. He's got 4s in the right places and he's got he gains power if he rolls a crit. He's incredibly fast and he's very tanky. And he also likes being attacked because he's tanky. He dodges everything, he defends everything, and then he gains power from the leadership. So he's actually often, if you attack him, if you do no damage, which is not that unlikely, if he rolls a crit, he gains 1 power and he gains a power from the leadership. And then
that's great.
He's got a 2-power web swing, which essentially turns his kit online.
Yeah, for sure. He's basically, a spider foe. That's a very spider foesy kit right there.
It's a very spider foesy kit.
Yeah.
The other thing I like, which I kind of found out by mistake by playing a game recently, was that him and Shocker are very good together because Shocker essentially walks in front of someone. You sit ASM kind of behind Shocker. They attack Shocker or they attack ASM. It doesn't really matter. They roll 1 less dice because Shocker's around and you've got witty banter.
Yeah, it's it's almost Crimson Dynamo levels of nerfing their attacks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And both Shocker and ASM can be quite tanky. So they can be, if you're in that it's especially, I think, good on a B map. So I think something like Mutant Madmen is great for this because you can position them on one side of the B map and they can basically deal with most things that come their way.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So that's really good.
Nice little kind of unit, little cluster. Yeah. It's hard to break through. Yeah, it's cool.
Exactly.
Nice. Okay. Let's talk about Loki, Prince of Lies.
Yes. So he's this other 5 threat that plays a completely different role. And this is what I like about Spider-Foes. They've got the flexibility to do this kind of objectives game with Rhino, Lizard, and ASM. And then they can do this attrition game where if they have to go down E maps, for example, they can bring along Mysterio and Loki, and they are best of friends.
I can already see the Grand Illusion turn in my head.
The Grand Illusion turn with Loki is filthy because you turn the Grand Illusion on. The Grand Illusion doesn't have to be turned on in Mysterio's activation. So let's say you've got the great position where you have priority. You pop the Grand Illusion. You're on an E-map. Loki has an A3 5 dice mystic area attack. Costs 4 power. Every time he deals damage, he advances a character, and then allies don't suffer damage, which is fine. But what's really good about this is it's only 5 dice, so it's normally not very good. But with the Grand Illusion, because Loki counts your opponent's skulls, and Mysterio changes their crit results to skull results, Loki can do like that 5 dice suddenly becomes really, really strong.
Yeah. So you count just your opponent's skulls, right?
Just your opponent's skulls.
So you're turning off. Then also they don't add dice for the crits, so the crits immediately become skulls. They don't get extra dice. So you're really nerfing their defense dice, and then that's also in turn bumping your attack. That's brilliant.
Exactly, and then you can oh my what a pity on top of it if you just want to get that one through. The other thing in that is if you deal damage, which let's face it is pretty likely now, you can advance the target character short and tricks and traps them.
Oh gosh!
So it just becomes this like. I had it where Loki has dazed an entire team of like 5 characters in one activation, just because
Grand Illusion
that attack
and tricks and traps
with the Grand Illusion with tricks and traps.
God, that's horrific. Yeah, nice.
It takes a bit of setup, but oh man, when it works, it feels good.
So villainous.
It is so villainous.
Yeah, nice.
The other thing, which is a little bit more tangible, is his go forth is quite good. So this is this 2 power where he can place an ally within 2 of itself.
Yeah.
So what you can, it's quite a good thing to have with Mysterio again, because what you can do is you can do this central grab that I said with Mysterio. Maybe Mysterio takes an attack and he's suddenly looking a bit unhealthy. And I'm a bit worried that he's going to go down. Well, Loki can then bring him back towards you, get them even further away from your opponent. And then if they come near, you can tricks and traps back. And suddenly Mysterio can almost get onto the back objective without having to take any actions.
Yeah.
So it's just that, like, it's a way of keeping someone like Mysterio a little bit safer when he's your central extract grab. And then once you're in this bubble, you're just a horrible prospect to attack because you've got the leadership, you've got Loki doing, oh my, what a pity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just becomes this bubble of nightmare to attack.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you had these little duos. You've got Mysterio and Loki are best buds, and then Shocker and ASM are best buds. It's great.
Yeah.
Like just a couple little pairs running around causing havoc.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I love the Spider-Foes kit generally, because it really like it lends itself to having these like synergies between characters. So you can really like make your 3 threat do more work than it should, or your 5 threat in this case suddenly have this A3, which is just bonkers damage.
That's great, yeah. I guess, that's not, what being a Spider-Foe is all about, Like, this Doc Ock, they're all just bros, Spider Bros. Yeah. They're all just Spider Bros. They're like, I'm sick of that Spider-Man guy. Let's form a club, and we're going to, it's like a support group for each other. And this makes complete sense to me.
Exactly, exactly.
Cool. All right, so let's get on to Silver Sable and Bullseye.
Yeah, so I don't have a huge amount to say about Bullseye. He's a 2 threat. He could be towed very easily. Mm-hmm. I just think thematically Bullseye fits a little bit more with the Spider-Foes.
Yeah, makes sense.
He's fought Spider-Man. And he leans into the trap game, but he's also very good at just running around and flipping points or being a nuisance and doing that chip damage, which is what Spider-Foes are really good at.
Yeah.
But really he's there because he's a 2-threat.
Yeah, fair. I mean, there's also parting shot, right? Which is nice. If they do 1 damage to you, the leadership lets him parting shot straight away, which is great.
Yes.
And it's just more annoying things.
Yeah, exactly. He just does this annoying chip damage.
Yeah.
which is really good.
Yeah.
Silver Sable though is a new addition for me.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played with her loads. She was Sandman, so Sandman dropped to experiment her.
Okay.
And she actually is really for the Loki Mysterio game plan. And the reason is because what she can do is she can sit at the back of the board and snipe people. And she's got, it's a crit wild. She can push the character, which is quite unlikely. But if she does, she can push them.
I played her every game yesterday and never got that trigger off, by the way. It's a very unlikely trigger.
It is a very unlikely trigger, but she can push people around, which is great. On a crit, which is much more likely, she gives out root, which is just an irritating condition. But the reason I bring her with this is because of the want my help, pay up. So when an allied character within 4 makes an attack, they can pay 2 power essentially, and they gain an extra attack dice, and Silver Sable gains a power. And why I think this is good is it's really good with Loki for early round shenanigans, because he can do this immediately because he gains 2 power in the power phase. So he can essentially long move somewhere, do a 7 dice mystic attack, which gives him better odds of getting his crit wild trigger off, or just doing damage, moving people around, and then he can keep kind of doing that later on in the game. So she's kind of an experiment for this attrition thing to almost play a pseudo Craven role to give you a little bit more of a punch on an E-map where you're having to play attrition.
Yeah, nice. That's very cool. Yeah, I didn't think about the Asgardian power, letting him use that round 1. That's very cool. And then you're powering up Silver Sable, which is the real strength of this as well, because Silver Sable spends power so well with Shot Caller. She can move people short. And I was using Estee and Sentinels, and she was honestly the best character on the board every game.
Yeah, she's great. And actually, Headshot is kind of nuts. If you see someone, and the other thing is she can do it to herself.
Yeah.
So she can give herself extra.
Want my help, pay up. She can pay herself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so Headshot then becomes a little bit more reliable. She's just this quite nice support piece that is still relevant in the game because she's got this range 5.
Yeah.
And then again on that Grand Illusion turn, she can do actually quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, for sure.
So I really like her. I need to play her a bit more, but she's kind of my experiment for this kind of person that sits on the back of the board.
Yeah.
And just snipes people.
She's a nice upgrade to Bullseye, right? Doing the same kind of role,
exactly.
But she brings a lot more, for the 2-threat. She definitely pays for the 2-threat extra above Bullseye.
Exactly.
With just nice kit. I think Silver Sable was a bit slept on. It's a shame that she came in the box with Shang-Chi. Because Shang-Chi is obviously phenomenal. I think she's really, really cool in the right circumstance and the right teams. And this could be one of them.
Yeah, I agree. I think Shang-Chi is quite an easy play pattern, whereas I don't think she is as easy, even though her kit is when you pay the power to do what is a bit more tricky and it's a bit more thought-provoking. So I want to play more with her, but this is my theory with her, and I've done it a couple of times, and it's been pretty effective.
Yeah, cool. And also on that Grand Illusion turn, it's worth mentioning that Headshot has a much higher chance of dealing damage, which will then get the additional 2. Headshot is brutal when you poke a damage through. Yesterday I had I was using Headshot into a few people that were blocking really well, but one got through, and it's that's now 3. So your 4 blocks actually doesn't mean as much anymore, So it's very nice. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, it's a really nice, and it's only 3 power, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. It's also, I mentioned as well, you've got this kind of theme running through your roster of being unpleasant to hit, and she has on her injured side, she has protect the asset. So if they target someone holding an extract, you shoot them. So it's just another reason why you might not want to punch spot diffuse.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I think. That's what the leadership is telling you, is that you want to try and force people to punch you in a way that benefits you.
Yeah, for sure.
This is what they do. They try and put you in these awkward spots where you have to punch them, but if you do punch them and don't punch them hard enough, they're going to pay you back for it.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. Well, that's the team. That's the characters. Anything else you want to say on those before we move on?
No, I think yeah, this team is pretty set for me. I think the two main ones that are trials are Shocker and Silver Sable. I've had lots of other characters in those slots before. I've had, actually, I should mention, before Loki Prince of Lives came out, I had Cassandra Nova. I think she's a really cool spider foe.
Yeah.
Just Loki is better.
Yeah, I mean Loki,
like as a character.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Cassandra getting a little buff so that I could bring her back in and do the double tricks and traps nonsense.
Yeah, for sure. As someone who's playing Sentinels at the moment, I agree with that.
Yeah,
that would be nice. Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, sweet. So let's go on to the team tactics then. You've mentioned most of these, but I'll just read them out and we can pick out some that you want to say something about. So we've got Sinister Traps, Surprise Webhead. Surprise Webhead. It has to be read in that voice.
Thank you.
Some upgrades, Strategic Retreat, This Is Our Day, This Is a Robbery, The Grand Illusion, which we've spoken about a lot, Survival, Fallback Embrace.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about first?
So, Surprise Webhead.
It has to be said in that voice. It's very important. If you're playing Spider Foes, you're here for the vibes, and that is very important, okay?
Yeah, I love doing it against people that I've only just met as well.
Yeah.
It's a really cool card. I think I was probably more excited about it when it came out than when I've played it. I think it's kind of not quite as strong, but I still take it almost every game. Because essentially what it is any number of Spider Foes characters can spend 2 power to play this card. You choose an enemy character and you immediately make an attack with a power cost of 0 targeting the chosen character. So essentially it's all of the Spider Foes jumping in and wailing on one character, which is so thematic.
Yeah, it's great.
It's Spider-Man getting caught in a trap by the foes that they've set up and they just like wail on him. Yeah. And it's brilliant.
Exactly, which is why you need to do it in the voice. It's very important.
Exactly. And actually it can be, so unlike something like Siege of Darkness, which is the Midnight Suns one where they hit individual characters, I found that this is best used at the end of a character's activation. So say for example, you've gone, so an example that I've had, I played against AJ, who's one of our London meta guys, and he had a Namor in the midst of my Spider Foes characters. And I wailed on him with a Rhino and got one off. Yeah. And AJ's like, okay, phew, Namor's alive. I can now do all the Namor stuff and basically probably daze some characters. Yeah. And I then play, I then go, surprise, webhead, and finish him off. And yeah, it's just a really good card for if you need that little bit more impetus in that go. It's enormous.
It's a bit of insurance, right? A bit of insurance, exactly. Yeah. I think as someone, I play a lot of kind of, like the sacrifice plays, the bodyguard plays, and like making sure that I can, really limit when both players know that character has to die now. I like to specialize in keeping them alive with little tricks and stuff. Yeah. And this just completely subverts all of that. Because you're used to defending against 2, maybe 3 attacks, maybe 4 a turn. This just goes bang. Oh god, there's like 3 more coming in. I wasn't ready for that. And it just undermines everything.
Exactly, and there's so much synergy with a lot of the characters that we've talked about. So Craven giving an allies extra dice against one character means that suddenly your not custom upgrades. Surprise Webhead is like brutal. Mysterio on his Grand Illusion turn. Like often I find with Spider Foes is, especially the kind of like tricks and traps version, is you go down quite a lot early. Yeah. As you're like starting to gain power and starting to like get the train rolling, but then you pop and you have this one turn where everything goes your way. Yeah. And it's just about then maximizing that output. And this card like maximizes that output in a really, really good way. Yeah.
Do you think it's an auto take every game?
When it first came out, I played it every game and I would play it in every game. I think if you're going wide, say you're on a DMAT, it might not be so important.
Because there's less Spider Foes ganged up. Right.
Yeah. So say you're playing this like Rhino, Lizard, Doc Ock, ASM kind of vibe, then I don't think it's as important because like Lizard's got a 4 dice builder. It's like, oh, brilliant. I've just spent 2 power to do a 4 dice attack. Like it's often, there are other cards which would be more worth it. But then if you then brought a Craven along, suddenly it's really worth it because he can then do this like 5 dice, 7 dice, 7 dice.
Yeah.
So I think now it's not an every game take, but I think it's most games.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't think about the Craven synergy. That really works with his kit perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah, Craven got a huge buff when this new box came out because of custom upgrades and surprise weapons.
Yeah, they're very...
like those two cards are perfect for Craven because his kit is essentially... I think the problem with him before is that spider foes weren't that good at damage dealing. So him like being a good damage dealer, you could like focus on him because you just kill him because he just does die. And then your damage dealer's gone, and suddenly you've got these like lumps which are great at sitting on points, but not much else.
Yeah.
Whereas now with these cards, you're getting a bit of a buff to that.
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. So that's for when things are going your way. Let's talk about This Is Our Day. When things aren't going your way, you can play this card.
Yeah, so I think This Is Our Day is another card that I don't see that often. And I think it's a really strong card because when you have fewer VPs than your opponent, Otto Octavius, so either Doc Ock, can play this card. And basically, each time an allied character would drop an objective token, you get to place it. So your opponent normally would place it. And it also gets placed within range 3, not just range 2.
Which is huge.
And that's what you play the card for. And then as an additional bonus, each time an allied non-grunt character would be dazed or KO'd this round, each enemy character within 2 of it suffers 1 damage. That's a nice little, if you're dying, you're doing a little bit of damage. This card is particularly good when it's getting towards the end of the game. Say you're at like you're down 13-14, and you're like, okay, this round, this is going to be last round. This card can win you that game because people forget about it. You play it in the power phase, people forget about it. They're like, okay, I'm going to double tap Lizard. I'm going to take his extract off him. And they finally kill Lizard, who's really difficult to kill. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to just drop it next to Doc Ock.
Yeah.
I'm going to just drop it range 3 to my Rhino or my Doc Ock waiting in the wings. And it's so annoying for your opponent because they've often like taken those actions to take out the character which they think is going to win them the game. And then it's like, no, I'm still going to win. Yeah.
And it's also like, you say if they forget about it, but like if they attack once and like one-shot Lizard, you then still place it range 3 away, right? And a lot of characters won't be able to get there, even with a move.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good card. I think the main issue is that you need to be losing. So it's that like card to keep you in the game.
Yeah, and I guess with a lot of your tricks that you mentioned, you're getting points quite safely as well, right? Like you got your Rhino, Mysterio, Lizard, grabbing extracts early. You know, you got a lot of chances to go up on points. So yeah, it has to go real bad for you to go behind.
Yeah, but and then also I guess the other thing is that it's a good insurance card. So if you have a really bad turn and you go down, then it's that like way of getting yourself back. I guess that the problem is that you need those objectives. So you need to go down, but not so bad that you've lost all the extracts, because then it's kind of a pointless card if you're having to get them back.
Yeah. I think, it's very situational, this card. I've just noticed as well, it's unaffiliated. So
it is unaffiliated,
if we ever see a Dr. Octopus splashed anywhere, you can take this with him. Either
exactly.
Doc Ock. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Maybe this works better in a different team where, they plan to go down on points, maybe.
Yeah, a shield.
A shield, yeah. Interesting.
A shield could be fun.
Be an interesting splash. That'd be a good, nice day to see Doc Ock showing up somewhere else. Never really seen that before.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is our day. Strategic retreat I do want to talk about, because I'm a big fan of fallback, and this feels like a better fallback.
Yeah, so you pay 4 power, so it's quite expensive. Essentially, an allied spider foe's character is targeted by an attack. If it is holding an objective, you pay 4 power to play this card, and you can essentially pass your objective to another allied character within range 3, and you can retreat away from the attacking character short. Mm-hmm. So this is essentially like mission objective, which is now gone, and fallback, which is now restricted, in one card. I played against Tom Brown, who's already been called out on the pod, who's a big Spider Foes guy, and he put me in this really awkward spot. We were playing hammers, and his Rhino had a hammer, and his Toad had a hammer, and his Rhino had 2 health left. So I was thinking, I can take his hammer off Rhino, So instead of going, and his Rhino had activated. So what he did was he essentially moved Toad to be within range 3 of Rhino, away from all my characters. And so it meant that if I killed Rhino, he would just pass the hammer off to Toad, and then Toad's holding 2 hammers and runs into the corner and wins the game.
Yeah.
So it meant that I couldn't kill Rhino before I dealt with Toad. And so it's and that's because I remembered it. And I actually think people will forget about this card because it's not seen that often. I think it's a really strong card. It helps you get up on points early because you can just, again, if I say Mysterio goes into middle, I can just put someone within range 3. And so even if Mysterio goes down, he can pass the objective off to someone else and it's still safe. Or even just retreating. But yeah, it's better late game where you're having to make your opponent make decisions.
Sure.
I think it's a really good card, and it's one of those that's been slightly underrated coming out of the box.
Yeah, I agree. I think this should be played more. I think it's an extremely good card. I mean, it's fallback and mission objective, sort of, right? And mission objective has been rotated out and fallback is restricted. So, 2 very strong cards sort of combined, I think it's great. I think more people should be playing this card, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's actually better than mission objective because it's range 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's great. Okay, cool. Any other tactics cards you want to call out here?
Well, I mean, just on the subject of it, I've also got fallback. So I've now got 2 ways of doing that fallback and keeping someone alive or keeping someone from getting double tapped.
Yeah.
So I think, I think otherwise, we talked about survival a little bit with Craven. I think Sinister Traps is that OG Spider Foes card.
Yeah.
I actually don't bring it as much as maybe I should. I think it can be a trap for yourself.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah.
I think you've got to be a little careful with this. I think it's really good when you're playing against objective teams like Web Warriors to keep them from running away with the score.
Yeah.
Because you can put it on objective. If they walk into it, they risk being one shot. Because normally they've only got 5 health. Or even if they're not one shot, they've taken a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
But you can also then put yourself out of the game.
Yeah.
Because if you are ignoring an objective or sometimes 2 objectives, then actually Spider Foes need to win on objectives. They don't tend to win on killing everything.
Yeah.
So you've got to be a little bit careful. I don't subscribe to the notion that you just put this on their home objective and just deal some damage because it gives them power. I think this needs to be taken when you think you can optimize the damage with being able to get up on points.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you need to learn, you need to know exactly what they can do as well, because when I was playing X-Men, this would get played against me a lot, and I'd be like, fine, I'm going to me my X-Men, X23 up, go move to that midline objective you put the trap on. I get damaged, and I get power for that damage, and because I have healing factor, I'm going to heal it off anyway, and then I have an extra move to go and get the objective anyway. So you haven't really changed anything, you've just powered me up. So you need to be careful of things like that. Like you say, I think...
Yeah, it's terrible against X-Men.
Yeah, awful against X-Men. Anyone that has Midnight Suns, I think it would be bad against as well, because they can do the same thing. They can bump. Yeah. Like a Hela in Midnight Suns can bump, move once, hit the trap, and then have an action anyway. So it doesn't change too much. I think you need to be really careful of what you're doing with it, and don't overthink it. Sometimes people try and do smart things with it. I think for the most part, just put it on one of your opponent's home objectives if you really want to play it. Because put on a midline objective, they can sometimes ignore that objective, and then you have to go and trigger the trap yourself. Yeah. Going against the Juggernaut, he can double move and throw you long round 1 with "Do you know who I am?" and throw you into the trap. There's it's a very Spider Foes card in that way.
Yeah, it's a very Spider Foes card. I think the problem is I think it's better against inexperienced or newer players. Yeah. But as soon as you play against an experienced player, they know what to do with it. Yeah. They either know that they can trigger or they know when to trigger it. And so actually, it's a bit of a noob stomper. Yeah. But it's not great with people who know what they're doing. So it's in my 10, to be honest, largely for historic reasons. Yeah. It was our only card for a long time, really.
Just for the vibes. It's here for the vibes.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say as well, there's a weird play here. If you say on hammers, if you have a large base like a Hulk or a Juggernaut deployed on the hammer, the home hammer, and then you put this trap on that hammer, it doesn't trigger because they don't end a movement within 2. Yeah. They can pick up the objective and the token goes with the objective. So they can then they run around with a hammer that's got a trap on it that doesn't explode until they are dazed and drop it, and then the trap is back on the ground. It's just a whole weird edge case thing, which I think is brilliant, and I think you should do it on purpose. I think you should put Rhino on your home hammer and put the trap on there and just see what happens.
And then play This Is Our Day at the same time. Just maximize. When you kill my Rhino, you're just getting damaged the whole time.
Yeah, just throw.
I'm going to throw it into the middle of you, and you just explode.
Yeah, well, then it won't explode because they need to move towards it. It's just a whole. It's a horrible. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be hilarious just to see what happens. I don't know how you can calculate anything with it, but
no, exactly.
Silly stuff. Cool. All right. So yes, those are the tactics cards. Let's go on to the crisis, shall we?
Yes.
So we have Infinity Formula, Mutant Madmen, and Demons Downtown. And Paranoia, Spider Infected, Hammers. Anything in particular you want to shout out here?
So I think my secures are probably a bit weird for Spider Foes. I like the Tricks and Traps game with Mysterio and Loki, which is why Demons is in here. Neat little synergy with the leadership is that you can remove the Incinerate if you take damage from an attack.
That is cool.
I would bring Gamma, but I don't like 15. And similarly, I think Sword Base is actually really good for Spider Foes, but again, I don't like 15, so I don't take it. I think you could very easily go with Spider Portals instead of Demons and really lean into the pay-to-flips with Rhino and ASM and Doc Ock. But yeah, so Demons is in there because I want to play this like low-key Mysterio bubble. That's my like primary goal, is to get those pair on the table and just cause havoc.
Nice. Yeah, cool. So you're kind of forcing the cool synergy you found. You're like, I'm going to force you to play.
Yeah, exactly. I actually, when I've been writing Spider Foes rosters, I find their secures very difficult. They're a little bit awkward. I'm quite excited for the new crises to come out because I want to see if there's a better fit for foes because the game plan of the pay to flip is fine, but I want to play the other game plan. But actually, in terms of the crises, don't quite line up with the threat values.
Yeah.
So these are the best I can do. I think Demons is fine. I think the other E's are the problem, or the other E and Sword Base, the 15s are the problem. I should say I have never played Demons against something like Cabal or Asgard, so I might just get completely screwed over on that. But I think it's got some play there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in short, my secures I'm not so convinced on, but I'm quite excited to see what new secures come out to kind of see if that breathes a bit of life into my Trap House game.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think so we've got these new crises coming in the new year. I don't know anything about them. No one does really. And it's interesting. I think that right now, there are calls for the kind of like mid-rangey, brawly secures because, you've got your E-maps at the moment and your D-maps. It's very extreme, right? You either love going wide or love going tight. And there's like not much, in the way of like Sword Base, which is kind of just like a middle brawly thing. You can run around a bit. So I suspect, this would be my estimate, we might see a couple more of those. I'd hope so, because then mid-rangey teams like Spider Foes will sort of have a nice home.
Definitely. I think you've hit the nail on the head. Spider Foes is very much a mid-range team. And at the moment, you're right, the crises don't quite line up for them. And I think I've got loads of neat synergies, which I've talked about all this episode, but actually trying to get them into a cohesive game plan can be quite tricky with the current secures. So often, if I win priority, I'll go with my extracts because I have a bit more of a game plan. And then whatever their secures are, unless there's one that I really don't like Mayor Fisk, for example, I don't particularly like.
Yeah.
Then I'll go with their secures and just see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Not many teams would say that, right?
No.
Take their extracts first. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Well, anything else you want to say about the roster? I think there's loads of good advice there. You've done a bit of trap housing. You've done a bit of tricks and traps. Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, I just love the theme of Spider Foes. I think they can do loads. I think they're the reason that I got really into MCP. Was I love Spider-Man. I love the kind of comics, the films, and all that. And I think the Spider Foes are what make this game like really exciting for me. They're such awesome models as well. Like I love painting the models in vibrant colors, and they're these big like statements on the table that then do really like super villainy things, and it just makes the game so much fun. I never have a bad game with spider foes, even if I get stomped.
Yeah, because you're kind of, it's an interesting mix of like, we all come to this game wanting to play, you know, our favorite team and the cool affiliation stuff. But we end up, some of us end up going towards the like sweat area, sweaty competitiveness.
Yeah.
Speaking as a Hellfire player. And spider foes feel like a really nice mix because this team is tight. Like that Doc Rhino Lizard core is really, really, really good. This feels like the most, one of the more kind of like thematic and competitive lists, you know, at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. I think the thing with spider foes is I think they don't have really good matchups against anything. Like I think webs they've got a good matchup into, but they don't have really good matchups.
Yeah.
But also I never am really terrified of seeing something across the table.
Yeah.
I think they have the tools to deal with everything they need to.
Yeah.
And because they can pivot between game plan, you can essentially avoid having to like out attrition a team or outscore a scoring team.
Yeah, okay.
But because of that, you also then have to know what you're doing. You need reps with them because you need to figure out when to take what and what works against what. And that can be tricky.
Yeah.
And this roster constantly evolves. Like I say, currently I'm trialing Silver Sable, but she might be gone soon and, you know, Sandman might come back, or I might suddenly have an inspiration to bring in Carnage, and Carnage is in there, or, you know.
Every Spider Foes player secretly wishes they were playing Carnage. I know that for a fact.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I guess like, you know, like I say, your core being so strong, and then Mysterio, Kraven, and Shocker all being in there means it's a lot easier for you to splash. So if a new character gets released, like we just got like Nova revealed, you know, maybe Nova's got a place. So it's just really easy to slot them in because you're playing so affiliated.
Yeah. Shout out to Mephisto, who also has recently been released.
Yeah.
I think he could be a really cool Spider Foe. I kind of low-key wished he'd been a Spider Foe affiliated, just because all the haters of Brand New Day would have been weeping.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
Yeah, that would have been quite funny. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, sweet. So we talked about what you're doing with the roster and stuff. Let's talk about what would you love to see one day? Any changes, any new characters? What would you like to see coming in Spider-Foe's future?
I would really like Green Goblin to get a buff. Like on a simple level, I think he is one of the most iconic characters in Marvel Comics. And I think it's really sad that he is not kind of a mainstay of the game.
Yeah, I agree. I also don't think he needs much, by the way. Like,
I completely agree.
A bit more game on his injured side, because I love the game. Like when I first started playing MCP, I was playing with Tom Brown, who played Spider-Foes all the time, and I love the kind of dance you do around Green Goblin of like, oh, I want to kill him, but I don't because he goes crazy, and then he goes crazy and he kills everyone. Like I love that, and that was back in the day where, you know, attrition wasn't as strong, and nowadays, like you say, he just doesn't exist on his injured side. You can just get rid of him like a fly. You just swat him away.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't take much.
I think you just buff his defenses a little bit on his injured side, like maybe
health.
Give him 6 rather than 5. You know, like just buff him a little bit on his injured side, and I think he'd be great. And I actually really enjoy him with Mysterio because he blows up stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, that would be my wish of the characters that are here. Obviously, Carnage getting a buff because everyone wants to play Carnage. There are loads of Spider-Foes characters that I'd love to see in the game, but the one I want to see most, I think, is Red Goblin, which is the Green Goblin when he's bonded with the Carnage symbiote.
Oh, God.
And he just becomes this like insane, like almost like demon flying around, throwing like demon pumpkin bombs.
Nice.
And I just think he could be a really fun, like he'd be a complete attrition piece. I almost see him in the same kind of vein as Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully not as like tuned, but like, you know, just this like a mega threat to bring in Spider-Foes, because Spider-Foes are capped at 4 threats. They have 3 and 4 threats, and that's it.
Okay, yeah, it's just a
so
5
bringing
threat
in like
killer.
a 5 threat or a 6 threat just goes around killing stuff. Even if he doesn't contest, I'd love that if he was just like absolutely savage but doesn't contest.
Yeah, like a Weapon X kind of character. Like just he's all about murder, and yeah, that's cool.
Exactly. I think that would be really cool, and I think they'd do the sculpt really well.
Yeah, for sure
as well. So I'd love to see that.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Any more on your wish list? I know you've got a few. Are you trying to stay tame?
So, I'm trying to stay tame. I think the other one on a lower level would be Hobgoblin. I think he'd be really cool.
Yeah, I'm surprised we've not seen him already, to be honest.
Yeah, and bringing in like characters like Morbius as well would be fun. I've been playing a bit of Midnight Suns recently, so that would kind of like both of those affiliations would get a little bit of something.
Yeah.
Just a few, like, nothing major. Like, all of these are, I think Spider Foes are in a great place, but all of these are just, wishes that would be awesome to see. And actually, one other that I've just thought of is I'd love to see Superior Spider-Man, which is when Doc Ock, when Otto Octavius takes over Spider-Man's brain.
Yeah.
And he becomes this, like, Spider-Man, but he's like this villainous. He's not villainous. He tries to be a good guy, but he's also a bit villainous.
Yeah.
Like, he could be a cool, like, web warrior / spider foe.
Yeah.
To bring to the game.
That'd be very fun.
Those are some of the characters I'd love to see in the game.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I'm looking at pictures of him now. He looks great. I'd love to see that sculpt.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. I would also just want to shout out Hydro Man because he shows up on the tactics card.
Yes.
So
definitely. And cool. Scorpion is also on another tactics card.
He's clearly missing Scorpion. Yeah. There we go. All right. Hobgoblin
another two threat that probably won't be a two threat.
Exactly. It would just feel like a two threat. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, Archie. Anything you want to say to anyone interested in playing Spider Foes before we wrap up?
Pick them up. Like, they're so fun. They're so fun. Even if you're losing, they're so fun. So, they're the reason why I fell in love with this game. So I would highly recommend them to anyone who's either a Spider-Man fan or not a Spider-Man fan. They're just, they tick a lot of boxes for me.
Yeah, nice. And while you're painting them, watch the animated show for inspiration.
Exactly, yeah. 90s Spider-Man. I actually did when I was painting a lot of my Spider Foes. I watched it and it's great.
There's the vibe. Yeah, great. Cool. Okay. Well, thanks, Archie. If you're listening to this on Patreon, that's because you're a beautiful person and you are a patron and you've gotten it a little bit earlier. If you're not listening to this on Patreon, that's also fine. You just got this a bit later, maybe when the meta's shifted. Actually, by the time this is out, we might have new crisis cards. So that'd be a nice.
So all of this might be irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. So if you wanted to get it, a bit more on time, you can become a patron by going to our Patreon link in the description. Check out Cable's Conquest. It's actually my favorite podcast, my favorite MCP podcast by far. I like the kind of breakdowns you do. It's great. And you and Curtis are really, really, really good hosts. So go check that out as well. And that's it. Thanks for listening and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.